Preto, P number 4. Riku Tulu will start in P5 with Manu Domingo in P number 6, with Stephen Gatesman lining up 7th, Matteo Calistani lining up on the outside of row number 4, with Manu Reolago 9th, and Zoe Ross rounding out your top 10 on the starting grid. Further back, you have Ville Lepala with Christian Otorola, with Olli Kroker, Timu Valchiavi, Stefan Herman, David Soranzo, and Humberto Roca, bringing things down to 17th place on the grid. Ruslan Sabatov, Lubomir Moric, Tim MacGyver, and Claudio Candio will round out the rest of your 21-car starting grid here today, as we'll get that gridding process finished and we can get racing here at Monza, just waiting for the car that starts in 17th place of Humberto Roca, and then we can get that relatively decent run down towards turn number 1, where you'll see all of these cars just jockeying for position before they hit the anchors down into one of the tightest first corners that you'll ever see at any racetrack. Here we go then. Green flag racing here in the iRacing Formula Renault 3.5 series. A terrible start though for the number 3, Jose Langer, actually getting swarmed down towards turn number 1. Battle for the race leader as well, as Moran comes under attack from Armengard. 2x2 down into the chicane, and that's a crash right at the front of your field. Morgan Morand is around as your pole sitter. He'll get filed all the way to the back with a considerable amount of damage as well.
Yeah, he sat there just looking at the driver who turned him around, and what a move we've had here at the start of this motor race. It is Morgan Moran and the number 2 machine, Cesar Armengard, who are at the rear of your field right now. David Soranzo actually is the driver who turned around Morgan Moran. We need to get ourselves a replay of this one here, Connie, because that was huge.
That was absolutely huge. I mean, I said at the top of the broadcast that we would have potentially problems here down in towards turn number 1, and it has happened. Moran trying to defend the lead from Armengard, and Armengard, well, he had a lane of space on the inside, but you have to say the Moran kind of chopped off his nose there for the race lead, spins him right into the middle of the track. Everyone behind just trying to have to scatter across the race set, try to avoid. There was even one car that had completely stopped. It was like David Soranzo, just to make sure he didn't hit any cars. But here's the standings as they are right now. Jose Langer right at the front of the field with Victor Preto up into P number 2. So Preto from P4 on the grid gets himself up into P2 after the first lap here, as he'll try to chase down your race leader all the way down to turn number 1. A little bit of jostling for position behind, though. Xavi Ross versus Manu Domingo. Domingo sizes up for the inside line down into 1, not able to commit down into there just yet. And these guys will file their way out up towards the curve at Grande then, as this is a 4-car breakaway at the front almost immediately here. Rico Alatalo in P5 is in danger of actually losing the draft to these lead cars, but here goes the battle for the race lead then, as Victor Preto and Langer down the outside side by side, and Langer gets punted off into the gravel. Victor Preto will take the race lead, and Langer gets filed down to 4th.
Yeah, let's get ourselves a replay of that one, because we only saw the back end of that one, but we're on board now with Victor Preto. No, actually, we're not going to be on board with Victor Preto. We are going to be for the moment as he comes down in towards that second chicane here at Monza. We talk about being a high-risk racetrack. Victor Preto going to the outside line, takes the inside line to the second part of the corner, punts driver off. Victor Preto with the race lead.
Yep, he is in a slightly controversial fashion, but you'll hold on to the race lead for now, trying to break the draft all the way back to Xavi Ross. And obviously the cars behind as well. Manu Domingo, Jose Langer got filed down to P number 4 after that incident. And Rico Alatalo now, he does have drafting buddies in front of him that he can use to try and propel himself further up the field. Side by side through the Parabolica though, between Stefan Herman and Ruslan Sabatov. Sabatov's going to be on the inside with Herman on the outside. They'll take it side by side all the way down the pit straight here. Going to be battle of the late breakers then down in towards turn number 1. Herman's still trying to show some presence there on that outside, but thinks better of it, backs off. No point in going for those committed moves into 1 this early on in the race.
Yeah, and we've got big battles going on outside of your top 10 right now. It's got Sabatov at the front of that field. Then you've got yourself drivers with Stefan Herman and the number 18 machine, Timo Vodklevavi in the number 11 car, Roberto Roca in the number 12 machine, as you've also got a side-by-side going, and actually this is down on the exit of Lesman number 2. This is looking at a Taulo right now, the number 1 machine. He just forced his way past Manny Domingo.
Yeah, Rico Alatalo, after having a pretty lackluster qualifying, trying to recover, gains 1 position up into P4. We'll see the replay up on screen for you now. We see those 2 cars actually ahead of him battling, and this is an opportunistic move then for Rico Alatalo to get himself by. The car of Manu Domingo looks towards the outside, pins in towards the inside, and Alatalo able to carry the momentum around the outside at the first Lesmo to get that pass completed. As I said, good opportunistic driving there from Alatalo.
Yeah, fantastic move there by Rico Alatalo, getting himself up into 4th place in your field right now, but we've still got more battles going on behind. Here is Rocha alongside, or almost alongside. He's going to come back alongside the number 11 machine, a team with Velek Jarvi right now, as they head themselves towards the start finish line. They're going to be side by side. Rocha has himself the inside as they come towards turn number 1, and Rocha should get that move complete if he can hold himself on the brakes, but Velek Jarvi late on the brakes there, almost causing a 3-car incident.
Yeah, he gets tagged a little bit from behind by Otarola, who will himself come under pressure on the exit of turn 1. Side by side, just a little bit behind this, between Oratola and Moirich. We'll see that up on your screen, side by side down in towards the not the Cedar, I'm at the wrong racetrack, but the De La Roja chicane there, turn 4 and turn 5. As Oratola gets a little bit of an issue, a little bit of oversteer on the exit of the corner, dipping 2 tires into that gravel, which we actually kind of do often see in these cars, but you don't want to take too many liberties on the exit of that corner because it can really bite.
Yeah, and Morik actually lost himself about half a second in that process. Morik was really not committed in that first chicane, second chicane. As a consequence of that, he is now behind the number 16 machine. Is that number 16 machine? Number 18 machine. I say that on our screens right now, who is the driver of Christian Otolia. And Morik just was not committed at the first part of this lap.
Yeah, not committed at all, as the sun will actually dip behind a couple of clouds here, at least on the second half of the racing circuit. But meanwhile, down in towards turn number 1, it's still shining down on the racing surface. That's the new dynamic cloud system that iRacing have. You're just cooling parts of the track, keeping others in the heat, so the grip does change as you go around, which is an absolutely fantastic addition. We'll obviously be doing that transitions as well. Absolutely fantastic stuff, and we saw the first feature of that in the Daytona 24 hours. We saw it in the 12 hours of Bathurst as well. It's a fantastic addition to the service, but Victor Prieto, he won't be thinking about that one right now because he has Xavi Ross 0.6 of a second behind him. Definitely still within striking distance, especially with DRS and draft.
Yeah, he won't be thinking about it, but we will be thinking about DRS and 12 hours worth of racing because, of course, you and I currently are going to do the 12 hours of Sebring live in its entirety in support of Extra Life. That'll be in 2 weekends' time. Victor Prieto, he doesn't need to worry about that right now. All he needs to do is just keep his attention over Xavi Ross. The gap is up to 8 tenths of a second on the exit of this Sky chicane.
It is Xavi Ross just not able to keep up with Victor Prieto right now. Prieto did a 134.367 last time with 134.525 going the way of Xavi Ross. So even though Ross does have the draft or slipstream advantage here, which is all important here at Monza, it's not getting him enough time to be able to keep the race leader within striking distance. But talking of striking distance, the battle for P3 is definitely close to Rico Alatalo. He's got himself into a position where he can actually challenge for a podium. This is the battle that's directly behind here with that onboard shot of Xavi Ross. Very close coming down in towards the first chicane that time as Rico Alatalo through Curva Grande then for the Glacier Racing driver. Jose Langer getting a little bit nervous coming down into the braking zone for the De La Roja, knows exactly how fast that Glacier Racing machine is of Alatalo. He's going to have to fight for his life here if he's going to secure himself inside of those podium positions.
That was a good defensive drive actually by Langer in towards the second chicane, because he put his car in the middle of the racetrack. He didn't lose much time, but Langer knew that Alatalo was coming up behind him, and actually Alatalo lost himself about a couple of tenths of a second. He can't gain anything into the Ascari chicane, the third chicane here at Monza, the left, the long right, and then the left at the end of it. And actually Langer did a good job at last time by, but it comes down, Connery, down to how often they can use the DRS and how often they can actually use that middle of the racetrack.
Yeah, and Alatalo very deep in towards the Parabolica. Just playing a little bit of games with the white line on the exit of the corner. Thankfully, over the past couple of years, that has been repaved. There's no grass, there's no gravel on the exit of Parabolica anymore. Otherwise, Alatalo would have been a little bit more scared than he was just then. But down into turn one, still no opportunity arising for Rico Alatalo, as both of these guys are actually gaining on the car ahead. So Xavi Ross is dropping back into this battle. Could potentially make it a 3-car fight over the next couple of laps. Yeah,
and Sabatov, I believe, has just made a pass as well. We're going to go on board on the replay. This is not Sabatov. Let's go on board with Sabatov. And here we are. The replay between himself and the notorious team of Rocha. They go side by side towards turn number one. And Ruslan Sabatov and the Positive Sim Racing number 16 machine will get the inside line in towards that first chicane, and he's able to make that move. No, he doesn't. He does not make that move stick, so he falls back down into 11th position.
Yep, Sabatov having a fairly interesting race here. He's up 7 positions up into P number 11, so recovering after a terrible qualifying is the Central and Eastern European driver right now. But still has a lot more work to do if he wants to get himself inside that top 10. And meanwhile, fighting first. Speaking of the top 10, there's been a massive smash ahead of him. The number 17 of Steven Gatesman is going to be out of this event after attempting a pass over Humberto Rocha up in towards the Ascari chicane. We'll get the replay up on screen for you now in just a couple of moments' time. But that was a massive moment there for Gatesman that ends his race.
Yeah, so let's actually have a look at this.
Sabatov collected it.
Yeah, so Sabatov collected it, and then there was more incidents behind him. So there is Gatesman, the first person to have the incident, but then also the number 16 of Sabatov had himself an incident, and then the number 18 behind was having incidents as well. So that was a very crazy incident going on there down at the third chicane, the Ascari chicane. Here's one more look down in towards corner. It all started with 2 wide in towards the Ascari chicane. One driver just cutting across.
Oh.
And so, yeah. Oh my word, Conway.
Yeah, Sabatov absolutely nowhere to go in that situation. From the moment when Gatesman actually started spinning to the moment where Sabatov could have possibly realized what the issue was coming up in towards Ascari, there was absolutely no time to react. We see on board with him, sees the go side by side, sees him go sideways, and there's literally nothing you can do there unless you have F1 driver level reactions and take it into the grass. Yeah, there.
Yeah, one more look then. This is on board with Simon Gatesman in the number 17 machine in towards the Ascari chicane. Who's going 2 wide into the chicane, got the inside line, but then 2 drivers came together and he got turned around into the wall, into the tyre barrier. Steven Gatesman out of this event. That's a shame for Gatesman.
Yeah, meanwhile, battle for P number 2 potentially on here because Langer has got himself the DRS wide open over Xavi Ross. Absolutely nothing Xavi Ross can do about that. He might just look for the move onto the brakes into 1, but decides better of it. So Ross just being caught out with the DRS mismatch there. I have to wonder if he actually has any left, and if he's been using them to keep himself this far up the field after starting in P10.
Yeah, that's the thing about this race, because of course it's a bit like IndyCar. I've talked about this before here, Connie, in terms of this race. It's not like Formula 1 where you get DRS every single lap. You get a set number of uses of the DRS. It's more a bit like the push to pass in terms of the NTT IndyCar series, and Langer, he's been pulling out, and he's got himself almost 6 tenths of a second ahead of Xavi Ross. But does Langer still have the opportunity to go and charge to Victor Prato. We still also got to keep an eye on Rico Natalo because he's running in 4th place right now, and he's only about 8 tenths of a second back from Xavier Ross.
Yep, he is, and setting lap times on the order of about 1.5 tenths of a second a lap faster. So Alatalo definitely on a charge at this stage. Started in P5, up 1 position into P4, but a driver of his caliber would really love it if he can get himself up onto that podium at least, and try to gain a huge amount of points over his main championship contender of Morgan Morant here, because Morant is out of this race. This is probably going to be the highest strength of field race this entire week here in the Formula Renault 3.5 series. So there are a lot of points on the line, and if Alatalo can gain that over his main challenger, that would be absolutely huge for him. Out of the first chicane then for Riku Alatalo, furthering his advances over the driver ahead of Xavi Ross. Down onto the brakes, then into the Della Roja. That's a big chunk of time gained by Riku Alatalo up towards the first and of course the second lesmo. Misses the apex of the first lesmo. That's a little bit of time left on the racing circuit for Riku Alatalo, but nails the apex of the second one. Tracks out a little bit there, up on 2 tires onto the dirt, but that is not an issue as far as Alatalo is concerned. Drafting that all the way up towards the Ascari chicane. Alatalo not going to be close enough this time, but Alatalo, he's driving like a monster right now. He has the absolute pace advantage over Ross as he spins towards the exit of Ascari, and Alatalo escapes by the skin of his teeth.
Yes, Xavier Ross, what a moment by him there, getting loose on the Ascari chicane. He's actually now defending for his life compared to Marco Domingo. This is in towards the Parabolica, but let's go back and let's have a look and show you what happened down at the Ascari chicane. There we are. He loses it on the apex of the chicane. But I want to go back a little bit further here, Connery, because it was just one of those incidents. And again, the Ascari chicane claims so many victims on this racetrack, be it an open wheel, be it in any other form of motorsports. And Xavier Ross there, looking at the replay, just a little bit too tail happy through the Ascari, and that cost him 1, then 2 positions, and Xavier Ross lucky to still be in P number 6.
Yeah, exactly, and Rico Alatalo lucky to still be in P number 3 as he just shot the gap for the lack of a better term. Xavier Ross though trying to recover, locked right onto the back of Mano Lago here. Coming through the Della Roja chicane, and Xavier Ross, he's not going to have any damage as a result of that one. It was just a simple spin, even though it was a high-speed spin going on the exit of Ascari. So apart from maybe a little bit of tire overheating, then his car is going to be completely fine. But it's going to be a bit of a fall from grace after running in that top 3 pretty much all day.
Yeah, indeed so. And Xavier Ross is down into that 6th position as we talked about, and well, he's lucky to be in 6th place. And Xavier Ross has now got, as you say, Delago just ahead of him, but Ross cannot do anything on the run down into Cova Parabolica. And the thing about these tyres are, these are slick tyres. They are similar spec tyres to what we see in other forms of open wheel motorsports, and that if you do put too much temperature into them, you are going to pay the consequence. And we've seen again, Xavier Ross down towards turn number 1. He should have the inside line. You might see Domingo. Actually, no, we're not going to see Domingo go down to the inside. It's Xavier Ross down to the inside, and Xavier Ross will go down to the inside, get the position done, and Mano Lago will go down into 6th position.
Yeah, he will, but can Olago reply coming through Curva Grande? That's the big issue because he has the DRS now and the slipstream in reply, trying to go a little bit of a dummy move up and towards the variant Della Roja, but not successful in terms of that one. He did have the overspeed down into there, but unfortunately wasn't able to make it work. And now the plan, arguably, for Olago is just to stick in that slipstream of Xavier Ross and hope that you have enough pace to stay in that slipstream and for Ross to drag you up to the places further ahead, like Pete number 4, Ollie Coker. But here we go. Actually, he's going to challenge back in towards Ascari, looking for the inside, but not going to be available to him. But you can see that he's not down and out just yet, but with a bad run through Ascari, he might as well just be.
Well, it's a better race than what we saw last week, of course, here, Connery. So we've got people actually enjoying this race. And, of course, this race being streamed also live on Twitch TV. Hello to all the Twitch watchers here on the iRacing Esports Network. And I think they're enjoying it because, you know, Delago has got a lot of work to do to get back into that top 5 position. But he's not holding back as they come back down towards the first chicane. He's far too far back to make a move, but in terms of your top 5, they are starting to separate themselves out.
Oh, that's a good run, though. That's a good run through the first chicane for Olago.
Here we go.
That is not what you want to be seeing if you're Xavi Ross, because he has to go towards the outside for Curva Grande. Did he get a slowdown penalty coming through the middle of the corner? I don't see any reason why he would. He didn't cut across any of those curbs at all. It's just a terrible, terrible run off the first chicane that has let Olago all the way back through now.
Yeah, indeed, and I couldn't should have all for you, but Delago is up into 5th position, and he's got himself also, let's get this, about half a second advantage over Xavi Ross and the number 20 Iberian machines. As they come down towards the Ascari chicane right now, it looks like Delago's got himself back firmly into P number 5, and that is a good recovery drive by that number 10 machine after instantly had 2.5 laps ago.
Yep, exactly. But a good run through the Ascari chicane for Xavi Ross means that he can have the DRS open here down towards the Parabolica, but not going to be able to make the passes. We get a good view of Ray Olago, Manu Ray Olago there in that blue and black Formula Renault machine as towards the TV cameras we will go there. And Xavi Ross, you can just see exactly how close he is this time, coming down the pit straight, just sitting within that slipstream, able to draw himself towards the back of the car ahead, but going to back out of that, not going to take the opportunity just yet. Well, at 14 of 22, so there's still plenty of time to work with here in the rest of the race if I do want to make moves just a little bit later on. I'm actually keeping a very close eye on the gap at the front, because half a tenth of a second by half a tenth of half a tenth of a second by half a tenth of a second, Jose Langa has actually started to close in on your race leader of Victor Prieto. Gap stands at 1.7 seconds right now, but you can just see on that lap delta, well, over the past 2 laps, halves of seconds, and well, that's not going to be enough coming towards the end of the race to try and get himself anywhere close, but it's just, you know, the closer he gets, the better here, because he can just gain more of that draft.
Yeah, and let's actually give you a lap on board with Jose Langa in that number 3 machine as he tries to chase down Victor Prieto, because right now the gap is 1.8 seconds as he heads himself into the famous Curva Parabolica. Let's give you a little bit of Racing TV fan immersion here on Friday Night Prime Time.
on board with Jose Langa there, and as he tries to close down your race leader and does so in pretty emphatic fashion over that past lap. 0.3 of a second taken out for Langa over his compatriot of Victor Prieto. Gap is down to 1 second and a third, exactly as we briefly saw it on the lap time graphic right there, and it's closing in bit by bit by bit. And if you're Victor Prieto, well, that's not what you want to be seeing on your relative F3 box. Victor Prieto still holding strong at the front of the field, but he's still losing bits of time here and there to Jose Langa in P2. Gap is down to 1.2 seconds, as you can see it on the relative timings, and it's only closing in. So Langa's looking very, very good for the end of this race. But the thing is, how many laps will he actually have to work with once he gets himself into a position where he is actually able to challenge? Look, there's another 0.3 of a second taken out. So arguably another 3 laps, and he's in the position to get himself up into E1, but that's only going to leave him 2 or 3 laps at the end of this race to try and get that move done. And if he's using DRS to help out with this gaining of time, then Victor Prieto might have actually some in preserve to be able to defend.
Yeah, of course, for Iberia, this is a win-win situation because Iberia, of course, when he's so strong, Morand has had race victories here. In case of this race, though, however, is Victor Prieto, who's defending from the driver of the number 3 machine of Langa. This is, of course, a club that's got themselves here, Connery. New track of Circuit de Catalunya coming their way at iRacing. So, Club Iberia have got themselves, in my opinion, a little bit of a fresh momentum in terms of things like the World Cup, in terms of things like these races. And right now, 2 Iberian drivers going at it, 1.2 seconds of gap. I don't know who's going to win this race.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, off our screens, oh my god, Rico Alatalo, he's hit the barrier. He's hit the barrier off of Ascari, the driver of the number 1 machine, Glacier Racing Championship contender, is out of this event, at least for any good points-paying positions. Let's have a look. Coming through Ascari, got himself past Alifoka a little bit earlier on. Car just drifted out. Just the slowest oversteer moment that you'll ever see. Car just gradually getting away from him. We'll have a look at it from above as well, but that is Alatalo out.
This looks... Yeah, this really just looks like the exit of the Ascari biting a driver. Rico Alatalo out of this motor race for all intents and purposes. But that's the thing about here at Monza, because you forget about the Ascari chicane about final corners. You go on board at Alifoka, who's up right now. He's a 3rd place in that number 14 machine. Yes, he's got Racebot TV liveries on his side, but what a drive at Alifoka. But also, for Rico Alatalo, that was what I call a messy, horrible exit. It's a bit like Mika Hakkinen in 1999. Of course, Mika Hakkinen had it at the first chicane.
Yeah. That's just a little bit of a lazy instant, but it's not an instant that we are not accustomed to coming through Ascari. The car does tend to get pretty light coming on the exit of the corner, pretty twitchy. Of course, you want to be running the minimum amount of downforce possible on these cars to try and max also the straight line speed here at Monza, which does make the car a little bit unbalanced. Coming through a good couple of the exit of the chicanes, and of course the Ascari chicane, the fastest chicane on this circuit, probably the most technically demanding part of the circuit as well. It's very understandable that that sort of thing can happen with a very, very loose car.
Yeah, indeed, so as we're down to about 3 laps to go in this motor race. And the gap between your race leader, Victor Prieto, in the number 6 machine, and also Jose Langa. He's down to 1.3 seconds as Langa gets loose on the exit of the first chicane and now head themselves down to the second. And Langa is really pushing hard right now, Connery. And we've got a battle going on the last 4 laps of this event.
Yep, exactly. He's starting to play with that 1 second barrier. Of course, gap still stands at 1.3, but he needs a very good couple of laps here if he's going to stand any chance, like the which he had on lap 13, 14, 15, 16, multiple tenths of a second going his way. But the thing is, it's not happening, especially over the last 2 laps where he has actually lost time to the race leader. So this is go time now. This is the do or die moment for Jose Langa. Also qualifying performance, getting himself up onto 3rd on the grid, actually ahead of Victor Prieto. He needs to turn on those qualifying laps now if he's going to have a chance at this race win at the end. I think he'll definitely gain on this lap. He was 1.3 seconds across the line last time, now dipping or just below that, coming up towards the curve of Parabolica. So this is pretty close. This is a pretty close run of things.
Yeah, 1.2 seconds is the gap as they come past the start finish line in towards the first chicane once again. So Jose Langa, number 3 machine, looking to try and get Victor Prieto off of the top stop off the rostrum here as they head themselves through the first chicane. Gap is still 1.2 seconds as they head now through Curva Grande. Gap down to 1.1 seconds in towards the second chicane. Will it dip below 1 second? The answer is going to be not just yet, but Langa is still pushing as we've got ourselves 2.5 laps to go.
Yep, we do. And Jose Langa, it's going to be... Well, he basically, exactly as I mentioned just a couple moments ago, he needs those qualifying laps back in right now to try and gain those 0.3 of a second he was gaining every lap a little bit earlier on if he's going to stand a chance. He has 2.5 laps to go and 1 second to overcome. He has had the pace previously to be able to do this. Exactly 1 second on the way up towards the Ascari chicane. Below a second through it. Langa, he might just have a chance.
Yeah, he lost about 1/10 of a second through the Ascari chicane, but apart from that, Langa has been invincible right now. As they come towards Curva Parabolica, they'll have 2 laps to go at the line. Langa looks perfect through Curva Parabolica as they come past the top finish line. The gap just dips again over 1 second, but Langa now has the run. He's got the slipstream, he's got the DRS, he's got everything in his favour in towards the first chicane, slowing it down to about 75 kilometers an hour through the apex of the corner. They build up the speed for Curva Parabolica, sorry, Curva Grande even, and the gap is down to 0.8 of a second.
At least you're a little bit closer on the same racetrack rather than me a little bit earlier on with the Cida de Lago calling
yes.
to Roger lap, but there we go. Jose Langa then gap down to 0.9 of a second. It's back up to 1 second. So at this stage, you start to feel that Victor Prieto definitely has the upper hand in this one with only 1.5 laps to go. But in this situation, it's all about the amount of pressure that Langa can actually pile onto the back of the race leader right now. But Victor Prieto, he is a veteran in these open wheel machines. He dealt with the situation time and time again. Gap down to 0.8 of a second now between these two drivers. 8.5 of a second up into the Ascari chicane. Victor Prieto on the exit of this corner needs to nail the run out if he's going to try and keep that gap anywhere healthy, and he does, even though it's again 0.5 of a second lost from this point on the previous lap. Langa, he's going to need a monster lap now. It's starting to fall from his grasp. Victor Prieto going to seal the deal next time across the line if he's in that position. White flag out there on circuit. This is the last lap to settle the differences between P1 and P2. Victor Prieto, though, I think he's pretty safe here from now until the end of the race, unless, crucially, he makes a mistake.
Yes, and of course, we've seen mistakes already happen in this motor race, but Langer is currently 9 tenths of a second, half a second back now between Victor Prieto and Langer. So Langer just needs to make sure that he can exit this second chicane well and also get a good DRS run, maybe on the run down into the Ascari chicane. This is a point that he cannot overtake here, Connery, but the next 2 corners are crucial, and Langer looks strong.
Yeah, looks strong, but he missed the apex coming through the first of the Lesmos, and you can see the pressure that's applied to him and his competitors. Both of them get very loose through the second Lesmo, but I think that's a little bit too much time lost there from Jose Langer. He does have just 1 chicane, 1 straight, and 1 corner to go in the form of the Curva Palabraga, and that will be it. I think Victor Prieto has just managed to hold on, but does Langer have a surprise install? Does he have a spare DRS activation to be able to use? I don't think so. Those are the swerves of disappointment there from Langer, because Victor Prieto has got away with one. He comes out of the final corner. Checkered flag is going to be out. Victor Prieto will win the penultimate round of the Formula Renault 3.5 Championship by half a second.
That's Monza. That is Monza. It's absolute brilliance there. But Victor Prieto gets victory by half a second over Langer in that number 3 machine. Ollie Croker, by the way, 10 seconds back almost behind your race leaders. And then you got yourself Alago, who is a further 3 seconds back. And wow, the battle for the race lead was the key thing here today, because no one else behind them here, Conway, was battling for position. But Victor Prieto, he held on.
Yeah, exactly. That is the important point. He just held on against the odds. And if Langer hadn't had the sketchy couple of laps just before the end of the race where he lost time to Victor Prieto, then this could be a totally different story. Victor Prieto will win here at Monza, but here are your official race results. Victor Prieto will win by, like I said, half a second over Jose Pascualas Langer, with Oleg Foka coming across the line for a very respectable indeed podium position, up from 13th on the grid to P number 3. Fantastic effort. Manuel Lago will gain a good couple of positions from 9th into P4, with Xavi Ross, despite having earlier incidents, still gains 5 positions up into P5. Manu Domingo will finish exactly where he started in P6, with Humberto Roca gaining 10 positions up into 7th. Stefan Herman up into P8. P8 with Olivia Morich, P9 with David Taranto up inside of that top 10.
Indeed, so as we go back a little bit, you can see that team of Alec Jari comes home in 11th place, with Christian Ochoa in the number 18 car coming home in 12th place. Then it is Claudio Clandio in 13th, Team Macheva in 14th, Ruslan Sabatov. Of course, let's not forget here, Conway, he had that incident early on, and that's the reason why he's down in P number 15, and Italo down in 16th, and the rest of the results coming up on your screen.
Yeah, exactly. Vile Lepla up in P17 with Stephen Gatesman 18th, Morgan Morand 19th with Matthew Calistani in, P20 with Cesar Armengol, your 21st finisher here in this event. Well, don't go away from us, because we have the post-race show just coming up directly after this. We'll see you then.
four-time champion of the NASCAR Beginner Freeze iRacing Series. To the front bumper, and he hits him again now. Rayon Fowler into the outside wall.
He's gonna pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's gonna get them all done with. What amazing!
Lee to the inside goes Logan Cloudman is gonna touch in. Pit press.
saved it!
What a save!
Look to the outside as Trunkgate goes off. De Jong into second place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
Trying this contact though.
Slide left of the racetrack. Chris Venner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact. He's going to try and make the move around the outside the parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cut back here. Get the run out the parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Michael Schumacher, there's a little bit of door banging as well.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the post-race show here on the Formula Renault 3.5 Championship here on iRacing. Round number 11 at Monza is completely and utterly over with Victor Prieto taking the race win by 0.538 seconds. I'm Connery Maddock and, well, the person who was with me in the commentary booth is Will Vincent, and apologies for the technical issues right at the end of the race there with my microphone, but what a race it was, Will.
Great race. One thing I actually don't like here, Connery, where are the drivers to talk to?
In what way?
They're not here.
They're not here. Yeah, you're exactly right. Because usually at this stage, we have a couple of drivers come in and just give a couple of words for the broadcast. And it's seemingly like we are forever alone.
We are. But it was a good race. Of course, we saw Tuttle have issues at the second third of this race. We've seen other drivers have issues, but Victor Prieto, he led this race and he held on to this race at the end. And Morand did not win for once.
Yeah, exactly. Well, either Morand or Alatalo didn't win for
yes.
once. I think, as the case may be, it's about as monumental as the moment where someone other than Sebastian Vettel or Lewis Hamilton wins a Formula 1 race. I think is about the level that we're talking about.
Come
here
on,
in
give
this
me right
series.
he's going to win a race this year in Sauber. Alfa Romeo even.
Yeah, Alfa Romeo for a win
Yes.
this season. That's the. Have you done like sort of like a bingo card where you just have like unlikely things in Formula?
I wish I have.
Formula 1?
I wish I have.
Yeah, exactly, and maybe we should get on that. Just trying to take up after some of the F1 YouTubers, I suppose. But just bringing the topic back to this particular event, it was always going to be a pretty hard one from the start. Of course, the track itself is not that technically difficult. Of course, it's a track that everyone and their mother has run for God knows how many years. So that is simply not an issue. It's all about the strategic mind in terms of knowing when to pass and when to just try and draft off of each other.
Indeed, so we saw that by Lango actually a little bit on this racetrack because of the fact that he was able to use the DRS to his advantage. But even next round, the final round of the championship at Spa, DRS is going to be so important, especially in sector number 1, Connery.
Yeah, Spa is going to be, if you want a climax to a season, Spa is
Perfect climax.
Perfect, absolutely perfect. Of course, in the real world, it hasn't been the finishing round of all that many seasons, of course, but thanks to the wonders of sim racing, we can put it anywhere on the calendar where we so please. But yeah, that would be absolutely brilliant. Open wheel cars and Spa is just a match made in heaven. Absolutely fantastic amount of passing that can happen on that circuit as well. So I am very, very, very excited for that one. And do you know what else I'm excited about, Will?
Tomorrow, Porsche.
Tomorrow, Porsche. But yes, there's also the iRacing Peak Intensify series on the Tuesday, the week after as well.
I can't talk about that until we get the broadcast going on perfectly. It will be a perfect broadcast, we promise.
And I won't be on there to mess it up with my microphone. So there we go.
I will be there, however, at 2 o'clock in the morning, just to make sure it does go off perfectly. Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the second round of the Peak Intensify series, powered by iRacing. It will be fantastic, Connery.
Yeah, it will be absolutely brilliant. The first non-restrictor plate track on the Peak Intensify series calendar, the track where everything starts to look a little bit more representative in terms of the pace of the drivers out there and which teams might just come out on top. So definitely join us for that. But of course, as you quite rightfully mentioned, tomorrow we have the iRacing Porsche Pro qualifying series, which is another series that I do commentate on, and it's going to be at the track of what is going to be the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
Yes.
So that is an interesting curveball.
Slidey.
Yes, exactly. It's one of those tracks where if you get your line a little bit wrong, then you're in the grass, basically.
Pretty much, you're right. And that's what actually, I would say the hardest track in terms of the Porsche Pro qualifying series, because of the first 5 corners, if you mess up, you will end up in a tyre wall because the track is so slippery. But the Mario Andretti straightaway, it creates some fantastic overtaking opportunities, Connery.
Yeah, it really, really does. And I've already said it so far with many races so far this week. I can't wait for that one. But I think that is all that we're going to have time for here on RaceSpot TV Friday Prime Time. I've been Connor Pneumatic. That's been Will Vincent, also on the cameras as well. And we'll see you guys this time next week for the final round of the season. Goodbye.